I think it'll surprise a lot of people who watch this documentary that it's the North that is the most segregated, and New York. Talk about what you found.
Yeah, so I've been investigating and writing about housing and school segregation pretty much exclusively for the last 4 years. And one of the things that always comes up, particularly in places like New York, is that this is a Southern problem, and an extreme surprise that New York is the third most segregated city in the country in terms of housing and the most segregated large school system in the country. But it's not surprising to people who study this. If you look at where all of the most segregated cities are, almost all of them are northern industrial cities: Chicago, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, New York. We can go down the list. And the reason that is in the South, segregation was accomplished by laws that governed everything that Black people could and couldn't do. In the North, which didn't see a large Black population until the Great Migration, in which half of Black America moves from the South into the North, that was accomplished through housing. And you never had to put a single law on the book. As long as you could constrain where Black Americans lived, then you constrained their choices in every other aspect of life. So you don't want Black kids in your schools. You don't want Black people going to the same restaurants as you or the same parks as you. You simply don't allow them in the neighborhoods where those schools, restaurants, and parks are. And that was how it was accomplished in the North. And so I think we have somehow come to think that the North has been more benign on race, that the North has been more progressive on race, and it simply isn't true.
You say in the film that we have fair housing laws now, but we don't have fair housing. What would it take to accomplish that?
Enforcement. I mean, I think this is clearly what the Fair Housing Justice Center understands, what Fred Freiberg understands, is that the average person is never going to know that he or she has been discriminated against. And what I've documented is, for the last 45 years since we had a Fair Housing Act, the federal government, state government, city governments have had almost no will to enforce the law whatsoever. And I think what this show captures and what Fred's work shows is that the average person never knows that they've been discriminated against. I remember as a child, my dad was looking for an apartment. He calls the apartment. This is when people still advertised in newspapers for housing, and was told that the apartment was not available anymore. So he had his white friend call and found out that the apartment was available. But you can't expect that the average citizens are going to have to test for fair housing for themselves when they're in need of housing, that they're going to be the ones to have to go out and discover that the discrimination is happening. But we just haven't had any national will to do that. And I think it's important to understand no one wanted, should I say, most white Americans, whether they were Democrats or Republican, wanted the Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing Act was the last of the great civil rights legislation to be passed for a reason, because that was a Northern civil rights bill. It was one thing to pass the '64 Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, but the Fair Housing Act was going to affect who got to live next to you in New York or Chicago. And so we've never had a will to actually enforce that law.